Hey guys, Manic Mercurian here, and in this video I'd like to cover the astrology for Monday, August 16th through Monday, August 23rd, 2021. And before I get into that, I do want to mention how I very much appreciate all the interaction I've been receiving from you guys lately. I'm glad that a lot of the information I've provided has resonated with you, and I very much appreciate all the requests that I've been getting. But I do want to mention that there have been sort of a lot lately, and so it's going to take me a few days or maybe several days to upload some of these requests, but I am definitely going to get to all of them. So just bear with me. It may take a little bit of time for me to upload some of these videos. And that leads me to something else I wanted to mention. I've recently found a new routine or new regimen where I'm going to be uploading one new video every day and one weekly forecast, such as this one, every week, every Monday for Manic Monday. So new forecast every week on Mondays, and then the rest of the week will be mostly sun-moon combinations because I do want to do all of them, all 144, and we're not even halfway there yet, so I've got a lot more to go. And but besides that, I can do natal chart readings as well. I do have one request for a natal chart reading, and so if you are interested in one of those, just email me or leave a comment with your birth date, time, and place, and I can do a full analysis on your birth chart if you would like, if you're interested in that. Otherwise, just thanks everybody for watching, and again, I'm just really glad this information has provided some kind of usefulness for you, I guess. So that's really cool. Anyway, let's get into the astrology for this week. So we're starting out on Monday morning, August 16th, and the moon is freshly in Sagittarius. The moon actually enters Sagittarius either late on the 15th or early on the 16th, depending on where you are. But now on Monday the 16th, the moon is going to conjoin and cross over the south node. So the south node is at 7 degrees Sagittarius. It's not labeled here, but it's directly opposite the north node at 7 degrees Gemini. So the moon is sort of lighting up the nodal axis. It's crossing its own south node. And this is significant to me. And if you want to know how it's significant, you can look at the transiting south node in Sagittarius. Ever since the south node entered Sagittarius about a year and a half ago, there have been, events which have sort of disempowered or challenged the arenas of life that are ruled by Sagittarius. So that would be religious institutions, educational institutions, and long distance travel mostly. All those things have been very much burdened over the past year and a half or so. And so there could be some sort of event or challenge or problem or public policy affecting those aspects of life on the 16th. But this is the moon. It's a very quick moving aspect. This will really only apply to the 16th and the 17th. And, just while the moon is in Sagittarius. And the moon does cross over this point once a month. And so this isn't, the biggest thing in the world, but I did want to mention it because it could, affect those areas of life. Other than that, we also have Venus changing signs. So Venus just entered Libra early on the 16th. And this is really nice. So Venus is in domicile in Libra, or in other words, Venus rules Libra. And so its energies are strengthened there, especially for all you Libra sun people or people with rising or moon in Libra. You're going to be naturally more attractive and charismatic for the rest of the duration of this transit. And so you can look forward to that. But yeah, for the rest of us, we might just naturally attract more abundance. We can appreciate the beauty in things, appreciate the finer aspects of life, more readily with Venus in her home sign. And this adds to a really nice pattern that has developed where Mercury is in domicile as well in Virgo, and it's exalted. And we also have the Sun in domicile in Leo. So Sun, Mercury, and Venus all in domicile now. So that's just really nice to have so many inner planets all in domicile. It just means that things are flowing relatively well. And, these areas of life. So the Sun, which is our pride and our identity and the daily the energy of the day and the month, all that is in fiery warm Leo, so that's very fitting, and it's a natural energy. It's easy. All these domicile energies are natural and easy. Same with Mercury and Virgo. Our minds are, maybe a little bit sharper at this time. We can be more organized or more studious. And with Venus, we've got, better abundance and, we're better able to attract to ourselves what we want and to be attractive ourselves. So yeah, this is all really nice. I mean, this suggests to me that things are flowing well, things are relatively easy. Mars is in Virgo, which is not in detriment or in domicile, but that's not the worst energy either. Mars in Virgo allows us to be more productive. So all in all, I really like the inner planets transiting over this sector of the zodiac. That just seems like a very easy, natural energy for us all to experience. And of course, this depends on your natal astrology, but generally speaking, for us as a whole, this looks really nice. The only tension I see is that these planets are sort of being opposed and quincunxed by the outer planets in Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, and Aries if you want to include Chiron. So that is interesting. It's interesting to have so many inner planets on one side of the chart and so many outer planets on another. And I'm still not totally sure how to interpret that. It's almost like there's a disconnect between maybe policymakers or the governments versus, the common people, or there's a disconnect between daily events versus like more long-term trends. Like we're almost like in a bubble. I don't know. I'm not sure how to. It's a weird one. That's a weird aspect. But yeah, that's very interesting for sure. And as a whole, again, yeah, it just seems very easy and naturally graceful. So that's very nice. And let's see. Let's go forward to the 17th to Tuesday. So the moon is still transiting Sagittarius, and that's really nice because the moon is now going to trine the sun. It's a fire trine that looks just very nice and easy, and it adds to all these planets in domicile. So everything looks really easy and natural. The only exception would be what I talked about, where religious and educational institutions and long distance travel. Those are the main aspects where I could see something challenging with the moon still in Sagittarius. But other than those, parts of life, everything else looks generally pretty nice and just easy. Yeah, I'm not sure how else to explain it. You can be productive at this time. You can have more fun. It just looks all around, very well rounded and like a very easy energy, generally speaking. So that's nice. There's no exact aspects, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of it, I guess you could say. Tuesday is sort of a continuation of Monday, since the moon, is still in Sagittarius. So let's go forward to August 18th, which is a Wednesday. We do have Mercury approaching Mars, and Mercury will conjoin and pass Mars on Wednesday the 18th. And so all in all, I would say this is mostly positive. We can be very productive at this time. In fact, I can't imagine a better aspect for being productive than Mercury conjunct Mars in Virgo. There's just so much energy to be ambitious with our goals, with like getting organized, or with studying something, or maybe teaching something. If you have any writing to do, or anything you have to do for your work at all, working, being productive, organizing, planning, all that stuff looks really great. You can get more bang for your buck because there's just more energy. I don't know, we can just be more productive with all those types of things, especially with the moon, has just entered Capricorn late on the 17th going into the early 18th. And the moon is going to be trining this Mercury Mars conjunction. So really great time for being productive, setting goals, working hard. All that looks really nice. The main downside I would see is, Mars can be a little bit pedantic in Virgo. Mars can be overly aggressive or domineering about things that are of maybe not so big importance. Mars can be aggressive about things that are mundane or about little details. And with with Mercury conjoining Mars and kind of lighting up Mars, I guess you could say, that's the only downside I could see, is that maybe we're a little bit neurotic at that time. Like that would be sort of a neurotic energy to experience, I suppose. But overall, it looks really good for just learning or being productive. So that's really nice. And that's the main thing I see for the 18th. Other than that, there's still good vibes with Sun, Mercury, and Venus all in domicile. That's not going to change anytime soon until the Sun changes signs. next week. But yeah, all in all, everything looks really good. Also, this Mercury Mars conjunction isn't opposing Neptune, so that's nice. Neptune is 10 degrees away from opposing this conjunction, so it's far enough that I would say it's not so much a factor. We will avoid some of the more dizzying, mentally and emotionally destabilizing aspects of Neptune in Pisces. So that's good, I would say. But yeah, also the Sun is beginning to oppose Jupiter. We can talk more about that in a little bit, but yeah, that's main things I see for August 18th. Let's go forward to Thursday the 19th. We have Moon continuing to transit Capricorn. It's preparing to be a full moon in a couple of days in Aquarius once it opposes the Sun. But yeah, Moon is in detriment in Capricorn. It's approaching Pluto. Not a big deal. I mean, things could be maybe a little bit more heavy or serious in Capricorn, but again, it's the Moon. It's very quick moving, so it's really only applying to that day. But I wouldn't think too much of it. I mean, I'm gonna keep saying this, but with these three inner planets in domicile, even if you have the Moon in detriment, as a whole, things are going very well right now, I would say, generally speaking. So yeah, I think that kind of buffers some of the maybe more challenging or not so fun aspects that we would normally experience with the Moon transiting Capricorn. Okay, what else on the 19th? Uranus, actually, I'm still working out how to say that. I haven't decided yet. Uranus does it turn retrograde on this day at 14 degrees Taurus. And this is such a slow moving planet. It will very, very, very slowly and gradually change directions and start going backward. Or, at least that's how it will appear to be moving from our perception. So, okay, yeah, and during this time, so when planets, turn retrograde, like I said, it's a gradual process. They sort of slow down, stop, and then gradually reverse. So during that time, they are basically at a standstill, especially Uranus, since it's an outer planet. And so themes ruled by Uranus could be intensified for the following weeks. But we're in the middle of this now, so we've already been experiencing this. There could be maybe more natural disasters or earthquakes, changes to financial institutions or the economy, to stocks, to commodities. It would be mostly financial and natural, if that makes sense. Taurus is money and the earth, and really those things are one and the same, I guess. They bleed into each other. But there could be more intense changes in those areas with Uranus sort of coming to a standstill and intensifying. Or maybe changes that we've already been experiencing in those areas are intensifying and becoming more heavy with Uranus slowing down and stopping. And going retrograde, I could see maybe some adjustments happening economically or natural events happening, but we're going to be experiencing things that we've already experienced before since this is a retrograde. So maybe things that have changed recently will kind of go back and undo themselves, or we'll experience echoes of things that already happened before, stuff like that. Okay, and then we do have the Sun later in the day opposing Jupiter. So Sun at 27 degrees Leo opposing Jupiter at 27 degrees Aquarius. The Sun at this point is, preparing to leave Leo, and it's just making that connection with Jupiter just a couple days before leaving this sign of Leo. And okay, so how do I read this? Jupiter, in a way, is almost its own star. It's the biggest planet in our solar system, and it actually radiates more heat and energy than it takes in. It's almost a dwarf star in itself. So these are almost like the two titans, or the two main, I don't know if you want to call them like gods, or, I mean, they're the two biggest players in our solar system, I guess you could say. And I could almost see them as rivals of each other. And Jupiter is very much I would say, in the 11th house, or in Aquarius. The Sun is in domicile in Leo. And so I feel like they're very strong in these positions, and they're sort of opposing There could be a lot of expansion. I mean, both are expansive and energetic, and but the sun is more personal and more tribal. Jupiter in Aquarius would be more holistic and societal. So there could be that connection there. That I wouldn't say it's not that the tribes or the personal figures are in line with the outer society. It's just that there's some kind of connection there. There's some kind of flow. This looks good for being social. It's good for a party, maybe. But Jupiter being a more outer planet, it's not going to affect us in a super personal way. So I wouldn't really read too much into that, to be honest. Let's see what else here. Moon is still in Capricorn, opposing Pluto. That's a little bit heavier. Let's see what else here. I mean, there could be some sort of. I'm sorry, I keep doing that. There could be some sort of event which happens from a government standpoint, or maybe online. Aquarius rules online interactions, something like that, of that nature, which might affect us personally. Something coming down from the heavens, or from the internet, or from the government, or from whatever these quote unquote higher realms are. Something might funnel down and affect us, mundane people, bottom people of society. So I don't know. I'm not sure how to read that exactly, but these are two benefics, and so I can't see it being too bad unless something gets too out of hand or expansive, exploded, gets too dramatic, or unless there's too much expansion, too much of a good thing, maybe. That's how I'd read that. Let's see what else here. Let's go forward to Friday the 20th. We've got Moon crossing over into Aquarius, where it will conjoin and pass Saturn. Sun is getting very close to the end of Leo now. Venus is going farther into Libra. Mercury has passed Mars. It's still, conjunct, but it's quickly separating. And Mercury and Mars have been trining or quincunxing Chiron this whole time. I wouldn't read too much in that. But Mercury and Mars are also trining Uranus at 14 degrees Taurus. So with that Earth trine there, could be unexpected changes, either weather events, natural events, or changes to the markets. Let's see here. Yep, that would be the main thing. Okay, what else on the 20th? That's the main thing. You have Mercury making that exact trine with Uranus on this day on the 20th. So that's the main planetary aspect. In general, with Mercury making an aspect like that with Uranus, we can get epiphanies at that time, breakthroughs, especially with Uranus just turning retrograde. It would be something. It wouldn't be something completely new, especially with Uranus in general. Uranus actually doesn't rule things that are 100% new usually. Typically, Uranus rules things that were already there that you just didn't realize or understand, or that we didn't realize or understand until a certain point. Like Uranus itself was always there, but we didn't know about it until the 1700s, and so that's where it rules like new shifts in the paradigm or realizations like that. But the realization itself actually isn't new, if that makes sense, or the subject of the realization isn't new. It's just what you've learned about it. It's just that you've learned about something or realized something that was always true. It's just that it's you that's changed. The observer has changed. That's why Uranus is air, not fire. So my point is, with Mercury trining Uranus, you might have a breakthrough or a realization, but it's not something that's actually new that's happening. It's just that maybe you're gaining a different perspective on your life, or an event, or a thing, or a person, or an idea. You're learning something new. It's not the idea that's new. It's your awareness of it that's new. Especially with Uranus turning retrograde like this, that really suggests to me that it's not. Might be new to you, but it's not actually a new realization. But this is great for having realizations, learning something new, breakthroughs. Things can just come to you. Like if you can get informational downloads with Mercury aspecting Uranus. So that can be really cool, especially with Mercury, and it's such a high state in Virgo. That can be really good for downloads, learning, figuring stuff out, having new perspectives on things. So that can be that looks really interesting. Only downside would be too much frenetic energy, too much mental energy, too much mental stimulation. It could be still pretty neurotic with all this Virgo energy and with Mars still sort of involved. Let's see, those would be the main things. Okay, let's go forward to the 22nd. Moon is continuing through Aquarius, about to pass Jupiter, and later on it will make that opposition to the Sun. Oh yeah, this is very early on the 22nd. Oh, that's because I skipped the 21st. Okay, real quick, I'm going to cover the 21st. Not much is going on the 21st. There's no planetary aspects, so I would say it's just a continuation. Just remember all the planets and all these inner planets are in domicile. Things are going well, generally speaking. Moon is in Aquarius, we might be more holistic in our approach and our perspective. Let's see here. Those are the main things that are happening. But the main thing is that the moon is approaching the full moon. So that's what I'd like to go to. So the 21st is really just a build up to the 22nd. Here you've got the moon again, passing Jupiter, and later in the day, making that opposition to the sun. I guess that's still morning of Sunday the 22nd. And this is this is the most interesting part of this whole forecast, in my opinion. Because it's not just a full moon, it's a full moon at the last degree of a sign, with the sun at 29 degrees Leo and the moon at 29 degrees Aquarius. And the last degrees, or especially the very last degree of any sign, is intense. There's a lot that's going on. That planet is almost waning in its energy. Because that sign's energies are waning, becoming weaker, and hinting at eluding the new sign's energies. There's almost like a foreshadowing of a new energy that's about to be birthed into existence. But at the same time, there's echoes of, it's almost like a test at the end of a class that you take in order to graduate. So there's echoes of things that happened from earlier on in the transit, from earlier on when the sun was in Leo, for instance. But a main thing here is that this is the first full moon since the new moon, which was on Lionsgate, August 8th. And I think, that was undoubtedly intense and profound. I think it was even more impactful than I had anticipated. I knew it would have an impact, but I think it very much was a new chapter, which makes sense, with the nature of having a new moon on such a powerful day. So that was very much a new chapter in many ways. Many new things may have happened over these last couple of weeks since that new moon on the 8th. And now we're reaching a critical stage in the development of the cycle that was begun on the 8th, if that makes sense. So there's sort of a culmination of something that started on the 8th. Also, just maybe more generally speaking, there could be a lot of drama and theatrics. There could be just a lot of stuff happening because all these new energies that came in on the 8th are reaching full development and maturity now that the moon is full on the 22nd. So we can really see something at full bloom that had only just begun a couple of weeks ago on that new moon on the 8th. So yeah, that just looks like a very interesting day, especially it being on a weekend. People are going to be up more rowdy, all that classic full moon type stuff. Let's see, what else here? That's the main thing. It just sort of changes to the plot. Changes to this new chapter that opened on August 8th. Besides the full moon, we also have, I know I covered that very briefly, but I think I kind of covered what I wanted to say about it. But don't get me wrong, that's definitely a very interesting full moon, being on the last degrees of that sign, and the first full moon after that new moon on Lionsgate. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. So moving on the same day, we also have Mars making the exact trine to Uranus in Virgo. Mars in Virgo, Uranus in Taurus. So yeah, I think, I don't know, we're being very productive right now. Maybe the things that we're being productive on take an unexpected shift. Maybe our goals have to be changed dramatically or unexpectedly, things of that nature. Again, there could be natural weather phenomena as well, with Mercury and Mars trining, having recently have made these trines with Uranus. There could definitely be weather events at this time as well, especially with Mars. Mars is more violent, turbulent. I'm thinking of storms or earthquakes, that sort of thing. Landslides, unexpected events like that could be occurring around this time. And later in the day as well, Moon does enter Pisces. And this looks really nice. I mean, the moon is so much more at peace in Pisces, I think. It's it's not in domicile, but the moon is so dreamy and emotional and intuitive, and Pisces is so dreamy and emotional and intuitive. So it's very much an easygoing match. It's almost like a domicile energy, in my opinion. And so this is almost like a cool down or a come down right after the full moon. I think the full moon kind of developing and maturing in Aquarius, but then as soon as the exact aspect happens, the moon then enters Pisces. So there could be very much a shift or a change there. Maybe things cooling off. I see things as being more intense with the moon in Aquarius and even Capricorn for that matter, because these are Saturn ruled signs. It's really an out of it's a very foreign land for the moon. So moon entering Pisces looks very nice, and maybe things will be more relaxed. It's still full moon. Things are going to be wound up. There's going to be a lot happening, but things will maybe begin to cool off slightly or take a different turn once the moon enters Pisces on this same day, on Sunday the 22nd. And okay, going forward to the 23rd. This is the last day I'll cover in this video. Only aspect is Venus right here at 8 degrees Libra, trining Saturn at 8 degrees Aquarius. And both of these are in domicile, so that's really beautiful. Saturn maybe putting some restrictions on society, on online interactions, but also maybe laying down some groundwork in those areas as well, laying down a foundation, which we might see later and might build upon later. All that is receiving this sort of positive, fruitful, gracious aspect or connection from Venus, in domicile in Libra. So maybe it's very easy to speak with people, to have social interactions. But let me see here. But I'm thinking interpersonal dynamics are fueling more long-term endeavors, long-term groundwork. I don't even know what that means exactly. There's some kind of positive interaction between appreciation for finer things in life, appreciation for I don't know, good food, good experiences, good conversations. Maybe those things are actually setting down some very long-lasting groundwork for a foundation, maybe for a larger plan or a larger group. I'm not sure exactly how to read this. This almost seems like a good aspect for like a large meeting or something. Something that you do want things to be sort of light and positive. You want there to be good chemistry socially, but also we're here to get some work done. It's Saturn. So there's something more serious and long term. But Venus and Libra can be very strategic as well. This is a very strategic combination. So I don't know. Venus could bestow us with some positive updates or events regarding our long-term plans, maybe especially socially or maybe technologically, something of that nature. And on this day as well, Sun does enter Virgo. So the 23rd is the first day of Virgo, I suppose. So happy birthday, Virgos. And this officially concludes the middle segment of summer and begins the third and final segment of summer. So yeah, this means a lot of things. I mean, this means that there's a shift in everything that began with that new chapter on August 8th. Maybe there is a shift in all of that with the moon having just changed signs and then now the sun changing signs as well. But also, Virgo is a time where there's a lot happening. Virgo is the last sign of the first hemisphere or first half of the signs, first half of the zodiac. And so Virgo has the job of not only concluding summer or concluding this quadrant, the second quadrant, but it also concludes the first half of the entire zodiac. It concludes the first half of the year. And so it has the job of not only assimilating and integrating everything that's happened thus far, but also for preparing and alluding to the next incoming quadrant and the next incoming hemisphere or half of the zodiac. Similar to Pisces on the other side, has a similar task as well, but opposite. So Virgo, you could also think about this seasonally. If you're in the northern hemisphere, Virgo is a time where things are abundant naturally. It's summer still, so things are abundant, but there's already those first hints of fall. And so that's where, we get the urge to prepare and to organize and to, even though you don't need to ration everything, you can start making plans for when you may need to do so when things get a little bit more serious or heavy later on, less abundant. So Virgo has the task of enjoying the present moment, but also strategizing and planning for the future. Really has a lot on its plate. Virgo also has a lot to do with family, being of the second quadrant, which contains Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. These signs are all about family and taking care of your family in different ways. So Virgo has a lot to do with that as well. So these are all just themes that we'll be considering more over the next month and experiencing. Classic Virgo things would be getting organized, being productive, things of that nature. And unfortunately, this does end that lovely dynamic I was talking about where the sun was in domicile along with Mercury and Venus. But, the sun joins Mars and Mercury in Virgo, meaning that there's very much a focus on getting organized, being more intellectual or studious, being attentive to details, that type of thing. So hopefully that information resonated with you. Hopefully that was helpful. But thanks for watching and stay tuned for more. See you later.